I'm Macon York, and I'm a local letterpress printer and graphic designer. I learned the art of letterpress in 2010, and now it's what I do for a living. I'm here today to talk a little bit about letterpress and share my journey with this intriguing art process. Letterpress is a form of printmaking using a printing press. Paper is hand-fed, one piece at a time, into the machine. As the press is hand-crank, the paper rolls over the form, literally pressing the image and ink into the paper. This creates a charming textural effect. My letterpress journey began in New York City, where I did layout design for magazines for about 5 years. While I loved working with a big team and designing in the digital realm, I craved personal projects, working with my hands to physically make something. I had an inkling that I wanted to work for myself, but I wasn't sure yet in what capacity. In the words of Elizabeth Gilbert, I decided to pursue my curiosity. I took classes in silkscreen and calligraphy, and I signed up for a Sunday afternoon letterpress workshop at The Arm, which is a community studio in Brooklyn. The space has several letterpress machines and is run by Dan Morris, who is a fourth-generation printer. I was intrigued by hand-setting old woodblock type. After spending several years designing solely on the computer, it was refreshing to design in the physical realm. Each letter is picked out of a drawer, one at a time. Because letterpress is relief printing, everything must be designed in reverse so it will print correctly. I was working at Martha Stewart Living at the time, and part of the Christmas tradition there's an annual employee craft fair. I thought a cool project would be to make some letterpress holiday cards to sell. It was my first experience thinking about how I could earn money with letterpress. I had a blast, and I learned so much from this experience. I posted about the Martha Craft Fair on social media, and soon a distant friend inquired about letterpress wedding invitations. I was nervous to take on commission work, but I agreed to the job. I started with a hand-drawn sketch, scanned it in, and refined it digitally, and then turned it into a beautiful 3-color letterpress print. Wedding inquiries continued, and I kept refining my process. I love pairing my digital design skills with a physical printing process. I enjoyed working one-on-one with clients who were super excited about the projects. I felt so creatively satisfied, and it occurred to me that perhaps this was the entrepreneurial direction I was looking for. I continued to make greeting cards using woodblock type. I really love playing with color and pairing bright color combinations with fun lyrics or sweet southern sayings. I opened an online Etsy shop and reached out to some local coffee shops in Brooklyn to sell my cards. Anytime I wasn't required to be at my real job, I was renting time at the Letterpress studio. I spent countless hours and dollars printing away, making so many mistakes, learning, and remaining fascinated by this printing process. Beyond that first workshop, I never had any formal training. I consider this time at the studio to be the foundation of my letterpress education. Later that summer, I attended the first annual Ladies of Letterpress conference held here in Asheville. It was so inspiring to meet hundreds of other letterpress-loving ladies just like me. Though I had visited Western Carolina as a child, the conference really opened my eyes to the amazing art community here. And then 2 years later, I moved to Asheville and immediately introduced myself to Lori Corral, the lovely owner of Asheville Bookworks. Similar to the Arm in Brooklyn, Bookworks is an incredible printmaking studio that is open to the public. I started running press time hourly and then monthly as I continued making greeting cards and custom wedding invitations. When I'm commissioned to make original designs, I usually start on the computer with software programs InDesign and Illustrator. After the digital design is final, I order a photopolymer plate. Through a photographic process, the digital image becomes the physical form that I use to print. Double-sided tape allows it to adhere to the base of the press, and as I run it one at a time, each color one at a time, it creates this beautiful textural effect. One of my favorite steps is preparing the ink colors. I use rubber-based inks that have the consistency of really thick honey. Using a palette knife, I scoop the ink from the can, mix it with other colors, tweaking it until I made the exact color that I want. A little ink goes a long way because you apply just a thin layer to the press. In addition to wedding invitations, I make a lot of business cards and personal stationery. This is the same process, but on a much smaller scale. I love introducing my clients to the wonder of letterpress. When you hand someone a letterpress business card, they hold it in their hand for a long time, running their fingers over and over across the textured paper. I've also started experimenting with hand-carved linoleum prints. For these projects, I don't use the computer at all. I design on paper and then transfer the design to a linoleum block. I made a reduction print last summer, which required 7 runs through the press, carving away and adding more color each time. So letterpress is a broad term for this type of printing, though many companies made letterpress machines. The brand I love is Vandercook. It was a revolutionary invention in 1909 compared to the earlier Ben Franklin-style printing presses. In the 1960s, though, offset printing became more popular, and Vandercooks and letterpress in general faded from the commercial market. Over 30,000 Vandercooks were made, but only about 2,000 remain today. So finding a press for purchase is really difficult. It was a small miracle when 2 presses were available last summer, so I bought them both. Moving a letterpress machine is no easy task. It weighs about 1,400 pounds and must be moved very carefully. I moved the presses into the first floor of my carriage house apartment and created a home studio. I love coming downstairs every morning to work. I spend my days corresponding with clients, tracking inventory, designing on the computer, but my absolute favorite task is printing on my beloved letterpress machines. This past December, I opened my studio to the public for a holiday event. I invited friends in the art community to print their own Christmas cards. My letterpress business continues to grow, and I'm working on a plan to host more letterpress events, as I want to continue to share my love for the special art process. Thank you.